What's going on, everybody? David here. Today is the economic stimulus package update for April 22nd. But first off, on this channel, we talk about personal finance and traveling on a budget. That sounds like something interesting to you. Please hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the little bell notification so you can get future updates on my videos. Okay, so this is going to be a pretty quick video. I wanted to just go over a couple of the things that are going on right now. The first thing, deadline. There's a deadline today, noon Eastern time. You need to, if you are on Social Security or you receive railroad retirement, you need to go over to the IRS portal and enter your information in if you have dependents. So if you have dependents, you want to get that extra $500, make sure you go over to the IRS portal. For non-filers, fill that information in, let them know that you have a dependent because they are starting to process everything when it comes to Social Security and railroad retirement. So if you don't get in there now, you might miss that opportunity. Now, if you're on SSI or receiving veterans benefits, I would also try to get in there today and take care of it. Don't wait, because once they start processing that, you'll be at the head of the line if you go ahead and take care of it today. So don't wait a couple of days down the road and say, okay, I have a little bit more time. I would do it today if possible. Looking at the next story, the Senate just passed a $484 billion small business package for PPP. So basically, PPP ran out of money. When they ran out of money, then they needed more revenue. And so what's going on right now, and this has been a talk, and there's some people that are really frustrated about this, but this money was really targeted to small business, but it's really going to a lot of the larger corporations right now. They're able to get in there and figure out ways to get this money. They weren't excluded. They weren't excluded, but the focus was on small business because those are the people who hurt the most when it comes to this type of an environment. You have larger businesses that are already set up and they have contingency plans for things just like this, recessions and things like that. So the small businesses are the ones that really hurt, and the small businesses are the ones that aren't getting the funds. Like we've seen in the news that you have some of these big companies that are getting money that's coming in right now from the PPP, and then these small businesses still haven't received anything. So the Senate did approve this. Now it has to go to the House, and the House hopefully will approve it by Thursday, and then the president will be able to sign it, and then they'll have a little bit of additional money to go to small businesses. Now, hopefully this goes to the small businesses because they really need it. Now, me personally, I did, as a small business, apply for the EIDL loan. I have not received my check yet. However, some people have received their check. Now, I filled out my application, I believe it was on April 4th, and a friend of mine filled out an application on the 31st, March 31st, and he has already received his money. He got $1,000. So they are really basing it on how many employees you have. So he received $1,000. So that's good to know that at least they're still rolling this out. Now, the promise was that you would get your money within 3 days. But obviously, that's not the situation. If I applied on April 4th and we're now on April 22nd, that's a lot more than 3 days. And like I told you, my friend, he applied on March 31st, and he didn't receive his check until yesterday, April 21st. So they're a little slow. And that's one of the problems that I have when it comes to this whole setup. If you tell us 3 days and it's 3 weeks later, that's a big problem, right? So don't tell us the 3 days. That way people aren't planning, okay, 3 days I'm going to have an influx of cash, so I'll be able to do this, do that. But yeah, it's all around. It's not just with the stimulus checks. It's also on the business side. Businesses aren't receiving their money either. Okay, so with this bill, let's look at exactly where the money's going to. So $320 billion is going to the PPP program. So that's to replenish the PPP program because they are out of money at this point. Now, $60 billion would be allocated for the Small Business Administration Disaster Relief Fund. $75 billion would be made available for hospitals, and $25 billion would go towards the coronavirus testing. So that's where we are right now when it comes to the funding and how they're doing this. We'll see what happens. Hopefully by this week, everything will be signed off, and then people will be able to reapply for the small business loans or apply for the first time for these small business loans. And let's hope this helps small businesses this time and we don't have a lot of larger corporations getting in there. I think what's going on, and this is kind of a good thing in the sense that some of these larger corporations that have received money are being exposed, and so maybe some of them will think twice about applying this second time around and really let the small businesses get in there and get some of these loans. And we even saw some of these larger businesses, it didn't really make sense for them to receive the loan. So they apply for the loan, they get accepted, and then they realize, you know what, it's better if I laid my employees off and then let them receive unemployment. And I did a video last week, or maybe it was about a week and a half ago, and you can check it out in the link above. Just kind of my thoughts when it comes to the way this whole loan thing is set up, and how a business like a restaurant might benefit more if they allow their employees to be laid off and then maybe hire them back when times are better, because those employees can receive more money than if they were on payroll and the company was paying them basically to do nothing. Like in a restaurant situation where they can only do carry out, then there's really no reason to have a lot of people employed, waitresses and waiters, because they can't utilize their services. So that whole thing, I did a video about that, so check that out. It's pretty interesting, just the thought process of some of these larger corporations. But when you look at the large corporations, they are getting a little. I think this time around they're probably not going to be applying at the same rate, because once people find out, oh, you received a loan, and then you have these small businesses that haven't received anything, it looks kind of bad for the larger businesses. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is the new stimulus check that people are talking about, the $2,000, which is just a proposal, and there are a couple other proposals too that I want to mention. Now, I'm briefly going to just talk a little bit about them. I'm not going to get into any details. And the reason for that is because people are now thinking, like the Senate just signed this $484 billion PPP small business funds. Now people are thinking, oh, that means that we're getting that $2,000 check, because a lot of people are out there talking about, oh, the $2,000 check, the $2,000 check. That's not happening. Okay, that's not a part of this bill. And these are just proposals. So I'm just going to put the proposals out there, just the titles, so you guys understand, okay, yeah, this is what they're kind of talking about, but I'm not going to go into any detail because a lot of this stuff is going to change in the next few weeks. So once they approve this $484 billion for small business, then they'll start looking at maybe another stimulus check or the different proposals that are out there. So we're going to talk a little bit about it. So I've already mentioned the first one, $2,000 for every person. And that would include, if you're a couple, $2,000 for you, $2,000 for your spouse, and then up to $1,500 for your kids. So up to 3 kids, so $500 per kid, it'd be $1,500 for that. So that's one proposal that's out there, and that would be every month, and they would reevaluate it. It's unclear exactly. They're saying until the coronavirus numbers have dropped to a certain level, or so it's very vague as far as how they're going to really determine what's going on when it comes to that. The second thing they're talking about is free rent, free mortgage for up to a year. And this is another thing where they're looking kind of at the coronavirus to see it, once it gets down to a certain level, then they would lift that free mortgage, free rent. So that's another, I mean, all these things, these proposals, it's like, okay, I think this would be a great idea, but they haven't really worked out any of the details yet when it comes to how we're going to pay for it, how the situation is going to go with the landlords. So the landlords are to receive some money. They have some emergency funding that they can receive in order to stay afloat, right? Because if you're not paying for up to a year of your rent or up to a year of your mortgage, how are they going to handle that on the back end there? So that's another proposal. And then they're talking about a payroll tax waiver or wage subsidies. So this is something a little bit different. And I honestly don't know all the details on this one, so I'll have to do a little bit more research when it comes to that. But those are the 3 things that they're really talking about right now. I think most people would probably want to go with the $2,000 per month because it's easier to understand. Just give me $2,000 per month. It's easy to understand. The whole free rent, free mortgage thing, that gets a little sticky, because what if you're living with someone, they're receiving free rent or free mortgage, but you're really not benefiting from that in the sense that you're not personally receiving any money. So there are a lot of different things that are out there, and we'll have to see what they do with these proposals, but that's pretty much what they're talking about right now. And so we'll see if there's some new proposals that come out. But the proposal stage is the very beginning. That's, ooh, I have a great idea. That's all that is. It hasn't gone anywhere. With the small business loan, that's already been approved by the Senate, so that's a whole different thing. They're getting ready to get that online within next week. As soon as next week, they'll be able to have it online. Maybe even Friday they'll be able to have it online. So we have different areas that we're looking at right now, and that's where we are. Now, the last thing I want to talk about today is just my appreciation. I'm at a point right now where I have tripled my subscriber count, tripled the velocity of, actually more than tripled the velocity of views and stuff to my channel. And I really, truly appreciate it. I love all the comments down below. I've been trying to answer as many as possible. But at first I was like, I'll answer every question, and I was trying to answer every question. Now it's getting to a point where there's so many questions, which is great. And I will still spend time. I'll go through all the questions, but it's a little overwhelming, like the support that I'm getting, and I really appreciate it. And it's funny because I was just talking to a friend of mine yesterday who's a YouTuber, and he does it for a living. I don't do this for a living, but he does it for a living, and it's so much work. It really is. Even if you're doing it on a part-time basis like I am, there's a lot of work that goes into it. And when you start seeing the response from the community, it just really, it really makes you want to do more and more and more. And I'm getting up now at like 4 in the morning shooting videos, whereas I'd never done that before, but I'm just eager to get more information out to you guys because you guys are responding to it. So continue responding down below. Let me know what you guys are thinking. Let me know if you got your check. I'm really excited for people. Every time someone gets a check, it's like, oh, that's great. You got some money. So please continue doing that. Subscribe to the channel. We'll be putting out videos every day when it comes to the stimulus checks and the stimulus package, all that stuff. We're going to be talking about that. So this is just the beginning. I just wanted to share my appreciation. It's one of those deals where I was thinking last night, I'm like, wow, this is crazy how fast the channel is growing and how supportive everyone is of what we're doing here. So if you guys like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.